Okay, hey, welcome to my Q&A. Um, I had a lot going on yesterday that kind of interrupted my schedule a bit, so I couldn't publish it last night, but here it is. I got a lot of questions. Um, a lot of them were on the same kind of thing, so I've narrowed it down to the ones that are actually on different topics, so I hope this helps. The first one I have is says, when I'm triggered, I carry on about the principle of the matter. Then I point out the problem, then give reasons for being angry, and they still don't understand. Okay, so in your mind, when you know that your anger is valid, and it is, your anger is always valid, because the way you're experiencing life from your point of view, your emotions aren't wrong. They're never going to lie to you. So you have reason to be angry because of something you've been through that is coming up right now to the surface. So nobody can tell you how you should feel. In this particular situation or anything like this where you're like begging to be understood, first of all, don't do that. Do not do that. You shouldn't have to do that. Number one, anyone that makes you feel like you have to be begged to be understood is wasting your time, period. I don't care who they are. Just don't do that. You deserve better, and you shouldn't have to do that. That person, because like I've said before, they're only working from their best angle. So their understanding of you and your issue is only going to go so far. There's only so much depth. Do you know what I mean? If you can't get them to understand their function at their best level, which is only going to be so far, don't beg. You have to keep in mind that they're doing their best with what they have, with the skills that they have, and this is the part where you just have to accept it. I know that's the hard part, but you really have to accept that that's what you're working with. So, I mean, we could go deeper, but it would depend on the situation. But for the most part, I would say just accept that that's what you're working with, and don't pour too much energy into begging to be understood, because it won't matter how many reasons you give, or how much proof you have, or examples, or your reasoning, or whatever. If they don't get it, they don't get it. So just accept that they have reached their full capacity with understanding you or wanting to understand you, and either way, that's it. Just accept it. And then after that, we can look at, if you want to go deeper, one-on-one, we can do that, and we can look at what's making you angry and how to address that. But first and foremost, do not beg to be understood, because that's going to add to it. And you'll just go in circles. You don't deserve that. You deserve better, so don't waste your energy with that. How do I not get pissed off at backseat drivers? Yeah. So I think people like that, because they're trying to micromanage, I think people like that probably I think they feel like they have to control little stuff because they can't control big things, or controlling the little things makes them feel powerful because they need it so desperately. I have sure known some micromanagers, and those individuals are looking for control in all the little things, because there's probably something big in their life, either in the present or in the past, that just fell apart, and they're suffering from the feeling of total loss of control. And I think from their point of view, they're saying, well, I couldn't control that, past or present. Can't control that, so damn it, I'm going to control everything else and make up for it, That's just what I've seen. So I would say it, when you're dealing with that, whether it's a friend or a relative or whoever, just keep in mind that that's probably all they have to make them feel like they've really got a grip on things. And that's why, it's not worth letting it get to you, because think of it this way: if that's all they have to feel good or to feel powerful, just leave it. Just leave it, because that may be all they have. You know what I mean? And this leads to having empathy for people, and or sympathy, I'm sorry, having sympathy for people. And once you, or a little bit of compassion, once you hit that point where you can have some compassion for somebody who's bugging the shit out of you, that's when the anger can really fizzle out and dissipate, and you can kind of calm down a little bit, once you are able to somehow, and you don't have to say it to them. You don't have to say any of this directly to them, because a lot of people will get defensive and say, well, I don't do that. That's not true. You don't know my life. Skip all that. Just skip all that. You don't have to do that. But in your mind, for your own peace of mind and for your own mental health, you tell yourself these things to calm yourself down, because we're working on you, not them. So just remind yourself that that's probably all they have. And it sounds, to some people, this might sound uppity, or maybe condescending. You don't have to look at it that way. It might come off that way to some people, but this is for your mental health and your peace of mind, and this is to get you through it. So you tell yourself whatever story you need to calm yourself down and not be angry at this backseat driver or micromanager, whatever they're doing. There's a lot of coworkers like this, parents and grandparents or whatever. If that's all they have to feel good, leave it, because that may very well be the situation. So if you get in touch with your compassionate side, a lot of that can go away. People are jerks on posts when you ask for advice. Tired of people laughing at me. I dwell on it for a long time. It's really frustrating. Okay. So the people who interact with you, who are negative towards you, when you ask for advice and stuff like that, I know this is hard, but this is one of those situations where you have to just ignore those people. Just ignore them and focus your energy and your interactions on only the people who are kind to you, are positive with you. If you've got, even if it's just strangers online, if you've got somebody who's rude to you, delete, block, whatever. And just interact with the people who are nice to you. Narrow it down. Narrow down your circle. Simplify some of that stuff. When you can narrow things down and simplify your life, you will be able to breathe so much better, and it's going to filter out all that other bullshit, and you're not going to have all this stuff coming at you that you don't want. So I would just say, filter down, choose who you're going to interact with, pick and choose, and that can take away a lot of that. I hate this world. It's loaded with dumbasses and lunatics. Well, yeah. I'm trying to think of what the question would be in that. Possibly the same as the first one, the previous one. Just narrow down who you interact with. You don't have to take into account or take personally every person that says something to you or looks at you the wrong way or whatever. It's hard to train yourself to do this, but you can do this. I would say even start practicing it. If you watch TV, because a lot of people these days don't, but if you watch television, practice it then. You can imagine that you're interacting with the people on TV that are being dumbasses and lunatics, and imagine yourself ignoring a stupid comment or a stupid remark from somebody, a stupid response, or something rude or hurtful. This is one of those things where you just have to exercise a little bit of willpower and just push yourself to rise above. I mean, that's the best way I can put it. You just have to take control. You just have to push yourself a little bit. This is the part where all these questions here, this is stuff where you push yourself past your boundary, or well, not, I don't know about past your boundary, but push yourself outside of your routine. Your routine is to react, right? You're short-tempered, you're pissed all of a sudden, angry. But the idea here, the practice that this is going to give you is to do something outside of what you usually do, and to just reprogram your brain. The more you practice things like this, everything I've mentioned here, the more you practice it, but especially this one, like ignoring shit that pisses you off, especially if it's just little, I say little stuff. To some people this is big, but for something like this, I hate this world, it's loaded with dumbasses and lunatics. That's pretty general. So that being the case, you have a choice in this situation. With that mindset and that worldview, you have a choice as to whether or not you're going to react with certain individuals, because you're talking about the world as a whole. That's up to you if you react with it, or if you interact with it. That's on you. The good part about that is that you're in control. Well, you're in control with other situations too, but at least of yourself, if nothing else. But it's just a matter of starting a practice where you change your behavior. You just have to take control. You just got to take control and stop yourself and say, okay, do I really want to fool with this? Do I really want to interact with this? Do I really want to put my energy into this, or do I need to shut this off and concentrate on something else? And for the worldview thing, just like the other person, I said, narrow down who you interact with and who you talk to and who you associate with. Just narrow it down, filter it out. Just say, no, I deserve better than this, which is why you don't deserve to be in my energy, in my life. You're not going to be part of my day. You go to the service station and somebody says some stranger says some dumb shit or yells at you for whatever, taking their pump or some shit. Just walk. Just keep walking. Just keep moving. Don't feed into it. That person doesn't deserve to be part of your day. We don't know them. Neither of us know that person. So you're just there to pump gas, mind your own damn business, and get out. That's it. Simplify your shit. Simplify it. Narrow it down. And just filter out the shit you don't need. And I know it's hard, but because it's so tempting to just go for their throat. It is. This is one thing I have been able to get good at. I have to give myself some credit. I have been able to get good at this. Where somebody says some shit and I just think, you know what? No. And it just takes practice, but you just have to exercise some willpower. Because you have to ask yourself, is my life worth this? Or is it worth something better and above this? Do I really want to be at this level with this clown right now? Or should my life be better than this? Every moment, ask yourself, when someone pisses you off, ask yourself, should I have a better life than this? Than what I'm feeling right now? Should I feed into this? But especially if it's a stranger, you're talking about worldview. If it's just somebody, some clown out in public, or some driver that pisses you off. The drivers the bad drivers, that's legit. I would say, for a good example, that's legit anger that you're having, because that person's putting everybody in danger around them, and there's children and babies in cars and stuff like that. That is a legitimate reason to be angry, in my humble opinion. So I don't like it when they act up either, but because that's some stranger that I may or may not ever see again, I can't let that play a part in my day. It's not worth it. They're not worth it. It's just, you know what I mean? Don't let your day revolve around some dumb shit that, when your life is worth so much more than that. You know what I mean? So I hope that helps. Um, how to avoid being short-tempered. Okay, so my first question would be, ask yourself what types of situations or types of people get you there, get you to the angry level. What goes on? Do you feel like the previous person, do you feel like people are just kind of dumb in general and it makes you angry because you're babysitting wherever you go? Or is it a certain type of an attitude or a certain phrase or a certain, activity or behavior? Ask yourself what that is that sets you off like that. And if you can't figure that out, I would say at least start with, you don't even have to go that far yet. If you, I would say the basic part before doing all the soul searching, you don't even have to get to that point yet. If you just want to start with how to avoid being short-tempered, if you just want to start with stop, just stop yourself, because you can feel it, like it's like a hot sensation, like a heat that you can feel coming up to your skin. When I do this, I feel like because when I have gotten like that, it feels like a heat that just kind of comes out of nowhere inside my body, and it rushes up to the inside surface of my skin, just right in there, right up under that skin, and I just feel hot. And it's maybe like I'm buzzing or something, like electricity. So when you start feeling that, I know this is the hard part, like I say, but if you can stop yourself and just exercise a little bit of self-control and just quit for a second and breathe. Just take a breath. Now, it'd be hard to start this in the moment when that actually happens. That would be kind of difficult. So what I would say to cut yourself a break and to make it easier for you when you do get to that point and have to start controlling yourself, in moments where you're not angry and everything's okay, when you're calm or when you're busy, you can do it then. As long as you're in like a normal kind of a mood, a normal mood. Anger is a normal mood, but when you're not angry and you're just doing other things, you can stop yourself in that moment and say, you know what, I'm just going to listen to my breath for a second. Just listen to yourself breathe for a second. Don't listen to anything else. Don't put your concentration into anything else, just your lungs. Just stop and breathe, and do it in moments when you wouldn't need it. You stand there doing the dishes. You're taking the dog out. You're I don't know, cleaning the toilet, in the bath, whatever, folding laundry, whatever it is. Normal moments. Stop yourself then and listen to yourself breathe, or keep moving and breathe. You know what I mean? Practice it then when you don't need it, and kind of get it, in your system, get it in your psyche a little bit. And then by the time you get to that point, when you start catching yourself getting pissed off, you'll already have it as a little routine, and you can kind of say, okay, wait a minute, hold on. Let me just stop. Let me just make the world stop for a second, because in your mind, you can just say, hang on, I'm just going to stop myself. And just breathe for a minute. And it's hard to take control like that, but that's why I say what I've done, and it has helped, is to create the routine and create the habit before, and train yourself to do it before you get to that. So in your good moments, practice your breathing. I don't think it has to be anything special, because when I've done it, I'm no, breath technique expert or whatever. I'm not. I've taken a class on it, but I mean, like, I couldn't tell you, I guess I could tell you to do deep breathing, or, the diaphragm breathing, but I would say just slow down. It doesn't have to be anything special. If you want to count, you can count. You count to 10 or whatever, you can do that. But I would say just slow down and just listen to your lungs. So by the time you get to the short-tempered part, you can stop yourself. And then, like, once you get to where you can calm yourself down, if you want, we can get on a call and just, like, kind of explore it a little bit and see what exactly is setting you off. And you'll really be controlling it then, because you'll figure out what the source is, and we can just pick it apart and study it and figure it out, and it won't be an issue anymore. And the next one says, all my life I've felt unloved, so now my defense mechanism is to be aggressive and hurt or control them before they do it to me. I'm tired of living this way. I don't really want to be this way. Okay, yeah. Yeah, you shouldn't have to be that way. No one should have to live that way. That's not fair to you. That's not fair to you. You didn't come to this planet from wherever we came from before. You didn't come to this planet to live your life in your defense mechanism. That's not what this is. That's not the point of this. You didn't come here to just fight for your life and fight for your sanity every day. What would be the point of that? I do believe that you're here to learn about yourself and learn about, the contribution you can make to humanity, and how you can fulfill yourself and things like that, and have a good, happy life, and set a good example for somebody else who admires you, who you may not even know is looking at you, for one thing. So I like to keep that kind of stuff in mind, but you're definitely meant to live better than that. So you're right in thinking that you're tired of living that way and you don't really want to live that way. You're right. You shouldn't have to. So you say, all my life I've felt unloved and unwanted. Okay. My first question would be, when was the first time in your life when you felt the unloved and unwanted feeling? Who's the first person that did that to you, that had that kind of an impact on you? And if you can't remember that, we can get to it later. If we don't figure it out, we don't figure it out. But the main thing you need to know is that whoever instilled that or implanted that was wrong, and we need to start ignoring that, because your life is worth more than, the way some clown ignored you in 1980 or whatever it was, because people hold on to stuff forever, and it's not fair to you to hold on to something that long. Your life is worth more than that. So, all your life you felt unloved and unwanted. So now your defense mechanism is to be aggressive. Okay. Yeah, and the fact that you have enough insight about yourself to see yourself do that and know what you're doing is actually really good. That's a big step right there, because most people do that kind of thing and they have no idea that they're doing it. So the fact that you see yourself doing that is really good. That's very intuitive of you. And you're aggressive, or you hurt or control people before they can do it to you. So you're telling yourself that, because you've been programmed this way, you're telling yourself that, like Medea said in the end of one of those movies, I got to get them before they get me, so I don't get God or whatever. You remember that at the end with Dr. Phil? Okay. Yeah, I can understand that. That makes a lot of sense, and there's a lot of people that do that. So you're not alone in that, and you're not weird for that at all. That's not weird. What you are doing is wasting your energy living in defense mode when you could be living in peace mode. And I think what's happening is you're perceiving that this is how I've been. So I kind of feel this. This is the part where I think we kind of connect. You feel that you lose something if you don't protect yourself first, or if someone demonstrates not loving you or not wanting you, that you've lost something through that person's behavior with that. And in order to keep from losing your power, or losing love, you do the aggression thing and the control thing to stop it ahead of time, which makes sense. I'd like for you to remember is that you're not losing anything. You're not losing love. If someone acts like they don't care about you, then maybe they don't. But you're not losing anything through that one person. That person in your life, I mean, that dynamic can be replaced with somebody who does care about you. There's always going to be somebody else in this world that you can make friends with or meet who is going to have more respect for you. This world is too big to worry about who's going to do what. The world's too big for that. There's always an opportunity for you to interact with somebody who's going to think more highly of you than the person that you're thinking, doesn't. And you might be right. Maybe they don't care. And they probably do that to a lot of people, and they're probably lonely and sitting there wondering why. So I think in your position, remember that you're not losing anything just because somebody acts like they don't care. They haven't taken any of your personal power away, and they haven't taken any love from you that you would have otherwise might have had, because you can get that from somebody else. But I would say, and also maybe, like I told the other ones, maybe kind of narrow down who you interact with. Do your best to narrow that down, and don't expect a whole lot from people from the get-go. Don't worry about what their intentions are or anything like that, because you may never know what that is anyway. You may never figure that out. So because you can't control that part, just worry about what you're doing and the fact that you're sincere. You're being sincere, and don't worry about their intentions. Just keep in mind, I've got my power, and I'm still me, and I'm still a whole person, whether you care about me or not. This can get there could be a lot more to this. I'd have to know, like, maybe some examples or something from your life. So I'll message you after this and see if we can get on a phone call and just kind of explore this a little bit, because I'd like to know more about the situation in order to give you a bit more clarity. But I would say, start with that. And then the last one, how do I work with someone who brags all the time and makes the rest of us feel like nitwits? Yeah. Nitwits, yeah. So that person, I think, is almost similar to the backseat driver. People who brag all the time, and I cannot tell you how many times I've seen this. I can't tell you how many times I've seen this person. I've seen it over and over. They look like they think real highly of themselves, and like they're really on top of everything, and they're just some great son of a bitch that's got it all under control. They act like that's what they think of themselves, but the real truth is they don't feel that way, and they're trying so hard. They're trying their damnedest to make up for it. And I'd put money on it that person is thinking, well, as long as I don't let it slip that I don't really think this, as long as I don't let everybody know that I don't really have this kind of confidence, and I just look like I'm confident, I'm fine. Everything's going to be fine. And everybody's going to think I'm great and I've got it all figured out. People like that are desperate to make sure that everyone thinks that they've got it all figured out. They're desperate for that. Because the real damn truth is they don't. I'm going to let you in on another little tidbit. None of us have it all figured out. That's why we're here. We don't all have it figured out. And somebody who brags all the time, and especially to make everybody else feel bad, that person doesn't have shit figured out. That's why they have to do that, to feel good. It's the same reason people beat on somebody smaller than them. It's to make them feel good. It's the reason people abuse animals. It's to make them feel good, make them feel powerful. I'm bigger than you. I'm gonna, destroy you. That's all that is feeling small on the inside. And okay, now what can I do to fix feeling small on the inside? What can I do? What can I control? You, and they'll do that shit, or your perspective of them. That it's all they can do to come off like a real badass, when really on the inside, if you could just like take a chisel and just crack that shell and see the inside, it'd just be like a little shivering mouse in there or some shit, you know. It just wouldn't even be, you know, like, that's, don't, you can't, that, it's fake. It's fake. It's fake. And that person, like I say, like the backseat driver, is highly likely doing that because they need to feel good, and they're looking for what they can control and where they can get their little feeling of power. Where can I feel powerful? Where can I feel like a real badass? Because the truth is, their life as a whole does not make them feel like a badass. So now they're like reaching for scraps. You know what I'm saying? Reaching for anything in it, you know. So that person, you can't take them seriously. And you sure as hell can't listen to a word they say. So just remind yourself that they're working with what they've got, which may not be a whole lot. You know, to put it plainly, I know that sounds kind of bitchy, but this is to get you through it. This is what you're going to tell yourself to get through it. They're probably not working with a whole lot. And they have to do that to feel big and bad. You know what? If that's all they have, if that's all they can do, let them. Let them. Because that's it. That's all they can do. Because if you go and look at their life or get the backstory, there's, God only knows what's going on, what's really going on, and that they're trying desperately to hide. Let them do it. Because it doesn't mean anything. Your behavior, your character, the way you carry yourself, and your sincerity and your trustworthiness and your caliber that you demonstrate to people, it is going to speak for itself. Oh, what's that phrase? The proof is in the pudding. Okay? Let your behavior and who you are shine through sincerely, and just be legit with what you do. And let that speak for itself. So you don't have to worry about you. And that person, you know, and that may all catch up to them one day anyway. We don't know. But for the time being, since you can't make them stop what they're doing, just consider that may be all they have to feel good about, is the little things they do that they act like is a big deal. So, I hope that helps. These were some really good questions. Thank you for that. So we can do more of this if you want. This was good. I'm going to do another video later about some other topics I'm going through. I'm putting together a list today, so I might do it next weekend. Might be like a weekend thing we can do, but this was good. So thank you for that, and I hope that's helpful. If any of this speaks to you, or if there's something that I didn't touch on that you'd like to go over, please feel free to just message me, or better yet, if you really want secured time with me, go to my calendar link and on my bio and my info, and just book a time. There's no charge. Just book a time. It's gonna be 30 minutes. Just pick one, get yourself in there, and we're just gonna talk. We're just gonna talk about things, and we're gonna see where you are, what you've been doing, what works, what doesn't work, and we're gonna bridge the gap between where you are and where you want to be. We'll figure it out. So if that's something you'd like to do, you know, just kind of, you know, if you're ready for your transformation, put it that way, go for it. So I hope that was helpful, and those were some really good questions. So thank you for everybody that contributed, and we'll be doing this again. Okay, so thank you. Y'all have a good day.